Hi, look, I know that you had a bad fall last January. How exactly did that happen?
Well, January, bit of snow on the ground. I mean, we didn't have very much snow, but an inch of snow on the ground. I was out at the back on the paving here, and I made a step forward, and my leg literally disintegrated below the right knee. I mean, both bones were broken, the ankle was broken, and it was just
Was it a slip or a fall? Or
no, I remember I didn't know what happened. I just were one little step, bang, the whole thing went. And I was thrown back then onto concrete steps, which hurt my back as well. So I was lying there like a fish out of water, really.
and incapacitated?
Totally incapacitated. I lifted my leg up and I was swinging on the end of the muscle. And so I know this was serious, I said.
So you're lying in the back of the car. Well, how did you get out of that?
Well, I had my mobile phone, so I was able to ring across to a neighbour. He came across, and I'm not exactly a lightweight, but he managed to lift me up, get me into the house here. Then my sister came along, and the two of them got me to the hospital right here.
Korean hospital.
Korean hospital.
Right.
They did a temporary job, which was very temporary, which lasted for about 2 or 3 weeks. And then they said, well, the Alt McAlpin will be in touch with you. So Alt McAlpin got in touch. And then for the next 5 months, I was in and out of Alt McAlpin.
5 months.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right.
Because, I mean, the actual operation was done quite quickly.
Okay.
It only took a weekend.
Right.
And I was able to literally, he said, can do it. He allowed me to stand on that leg.
Right.
And take the weight. So he showed me that it was possible to stand up. He says, it's not advisable to do that.
Right.
The one thing that they were worried about was infection of wound, bread, and stuff like that. So that's why they kept going back and forth. But my leg now is perfect.
So you're right. 10 months later, and you're fine.
I'm absolutely fine. No pain, no discomfort. I've got more metal work in it than is in my car. That's it.
And your balance and
My balance, and I've had to work on that.
right.
And the lessons that I learned were really important, I think.
Okay.
And one of those was recovery. We'll come to that in due course. I live on my own now since I lost my wife, and so I would have been totally helpless. I would have had to be in hospital all the time. But my neighbours came to the rescue. My neighbour came to the rescue, first of all, in attending to me, because had I been lying out there without a mobile phone in January, I could have been there for a day. Because nobody would have known that I was dead. Yeah. And I could be hypothermic. So my mobile phone is really important. Okay. Dave, my friend, he came across that to me up. So that was the first neighbours. Then my neighbours across the road, they helped to go shopping for me to feed my cats, all sorts of things. I mean, they were in and out of the house the whole time helping me, etc. And, that's a really important thing to remember.
So the lesson there is keep
your neighbours.
right.
Look after your neighbours, because I find that they'll have to look after you these days. And then I had to get to Old McAlpin. I mean, in the present circumstances, it'd be nice to go to Coleraine, but they don't have any expertise. Well, Old McAlpin did. So therefore, I was in and out, and I had to be driven there and all that sort of thing.
Okay.
The treatment was great, but the lessons that I learned from it were literally keep up some sort of contact.
Okay.
All right, a mobile phone is great, and that's the best. But there are other types of ways of keeping in contact with electronic, like wristwatches. I don't know very much about that, but they really are important. And then sometimes people have, with a good relatives that say, well, I'll ring you every morning at 10 o'clock, just like that. The problem can occur with that in that, let's say, if you're somebody like me, you forget to ring them at 10 o'clock, and that happens a number of times. Then they become blasé and say, oh, but he's just forgotten about it. And that could be the time that you're lying there in snow, etc. So I think it's better to have some means you can contact. And then your neighbours value your neighbours, particularly in rural areas, but not only in rural areas, in the town.
Yeah.
I mean, in the rural areas, people tend to know each other fairly well, sometimes more than they do in the town. So you could be lying injured or in your home injured, and nobody would think to knock on the door and find out how you were. So, you know, it is important to get in touch and to build a new routine. And then having gone through it all, you've got to accept that you've got a recovery process, which takes a bit of time.
Right.
And you've got to work at it. It's not a case of just it'll happen. Because I became more cautious and so on, and worried in case of a fall, etc. So all of that you had to go through.
Right.
But again, you know, the equipment, for instance, one of my neighbours loaned me a wheelchair, you know, and that was great. That enabled me to get around the house because I live in a bungalow, so it's all in one house. So I was able to get around the house. But you know, it's important to treasure the fact that you've got good neighbours, and to some degree it's lagging.
Marvelous, right? So to summarize then, good neighbours,
mobile phone I think is the first of them.
Right.
To touch with the mobile phone or some form of mechanical aids, or because even if you have a telephone, it might be at the other end of the house.
Yeah.
And you might not be able to get to it.
Yeah.
So something that you can keep on your body with you. And then your neighbours, they'll look after you.
Right.
And then recovery. For example, one of the things I found was crutches. I was terrified using crutches.
Yeah.
So when the wheelchair came along, I thought, oh, wonderful. Okay, great. So, you know, that recovery process, don't allow it to dominate your life. You will recover. You can recover. And it's just taking the time to feel okay, all I'm saying, you know, that's the guy. Those are the key lessons to marvelous, right?
Right. That's interesting, but thank you. Interested to know that. I may need it myself in the future. That certainly is like a point carrying my phone.
It's absolutely, yeah. It's easy to forget your phone, you know, and not say, oh, where is it, except deep.
Okay.